You're listening to the Bust-Proof Business Podcast, taking your business to the next level by taking you out of it. With our experience and proven results, we'll help you find the success that many crave, but only we can help you achieve. It's time to get started with your host, Greg Murphy.
Hey guys, it's Greg Murphy from the Bust-Proof Business Podcast, and today I talk with my buddy Steve Raiken from Raiken Profit. I've known him for a while now, and I've done some of his really cool YouTube live videos. I'm recording this on Halloween, on October 31st, so we just got done with all of our Halloween events for the Dollar Book Swap. That was really fun. Let's get into the podcast. So here's me with Stephen Raiken. Hey guys, it's Greg Murphy from the Bust-Proof Business Podcast, and today I'm with a good friend of mine, Steve Raiken, and you guys might know him as Raiken Profits from YouTube. How you doing today, Steve?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. How's everything going? I appreciate you having me on the podcast, and congratulations, man, on getting the podcast going and all the success you're having. That's awesome.
So let's get into it. So Steve, you have a big background in YouTube, but I want to talk about, before you got into YouTube, how did you start with e-commerce?
Sure. So before I even got started with e-commerce, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I was living at home with my parents. I was, I think, 25 years old at the time, broke, working at different restaurants, delivering pizzas, and I was sick and tired of it. I was sick and tired of the grind, of clocking in, clocking out, only making enough money to pretty much support my bad habits, to say the least. And I was just sick of it. So I started searching on the web, YouTube specifically, for ways to be able to make money online. And I came across Craigslist. There was a guy by the name of Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, who was this crazy guy from Austin, Texas, who was actually going on Craigslist buying and selling bicycles for a profit. And he was doing really, really well with it. And pretty much I linked up with him on Facebook after watching his YouTube videos and learned from him how to buy and sell bicycles. I'm talking like road bikes, mountain bicycles, little bikes you ride around the neighborhood, kid bicycles. And I learned the business. And that summer, within less than a year, I did about somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 in bikes. I don't remember how much I ended up selling, but I sold a crap load of bicycles. And kind of continuing the story, I was able to eventually quit my job, which I wasn't making much money with, and I didn't have a ton of bills. I was able to quit my job, and I went full time with this Craigslist, buying and selling locally bicycles, random little household items. And, I live in Connecticut, so it gets cold during the fall and winter time. And people stopped buying bicycles. So I said to myself, what the heck am I going to sell? Because I'm not going back to this job. I'm not putting on that Cracker Barrel apron.
Right. I was a pizza boy for a long time.
Really?
Oh yeah. I delivered pizza from the age of 18 as soon as I could, when I was 18 for years. I worked at all of them. I don't know if you know, I dropped out of college 3 times.
Okay.
I moved to Vegas to deal poker. But I was a pizza boy for a long time. And that was one of the last jobs I had before I started selling, was delivering pizza. So I'm with you, brother. I understand.
I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. We're gonna have to share some stories about run down by dogs. Anyways, it was getting cold out in Connecticut, and I had to figure out a new item to sell because bicycles weren't selling. People weren't riding bicycles. So I ended up getting into eBay, learned about eBay from, again, people on YouTube. It's an amazing platform to learn from, and started selling clothing. I ended up going full-time into clothing for about 2 years. I was still selling on Craigslist. I was selling on eBay. I was selling clothing. I'm talking blazers, suits, sport coats, dress shirts, jeans, ties, all different types of accessories. Ended up, renting out a warehouse space, had a couple employees. And from there, I transitioned, to other e-commerce platforms such as Amazon FBA. I got into Kindle publishing, CreateSpace, audiobooks, YouTube, creating my own products. And since then, I've really diversified into a lot of different online opportunities, and it's amazing. I love it. I wake up every day excited, passionate, and I'm just super grateful for this opportunity that we all have on this thing called the internet. So that's a little bit about me and kind of where I am. But it's been about 4 years, and I was able to quit my job, have my own beautiful apartment. I'm not a millionaire, but I have a lot of freedom, and I got a great lifestyle, and my income's building every single year as I continue to learn these different platforms.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit more into eBay than we had in the past. Just having our brick and mortar dollar book swap is allowing us to see that, there's some, sets, and there's some other products outside of books that might do well on eBay that we have. So we might want to talk about eBay at another time, but I wanted to talk about YouTube because I think I saw somewhere you just passed some massive milestone in either subscribers or video views lately.
Yeah, just recently on the channel, we actually passed 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I think we're coming up on about 5 million views over the last 3 years. So it's really been taking off as of late.
5 million views. That's amazing.
It's a lot of views. You think about it and you're like, holy mackerel, like it's crazy. I tell you, I never would have imagined that. I'm super grateful for my audience and all the people that I've been able to, share this journey with. It's been amazing.
So how many videos, do you know how many videos you have up right now?
Yeah, I actually don't laugh. But I actually just crossed the 1,000 video mark.
Goodness. That's a lot of videos.
Yeah, I've been making videos daily for about 3 years straight. And, when you do something that you love and enjoy, and you can help people and you could also make money from it, which a lot of people don't realize, you can actually make YouTube's quite lucrative if you do it the right way. It's easy and it's fun and it pays you, and it's great. I love it.
So we have a small presence on YouTube, but if you monetize the videos, around what are you making per? I mean, how does that even work?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of ways to make money on YouTube. The most common way people make money is through ads. So you monetize your videos, and as you know, Google owns YouTube. So Google will start putting ads on your YouTube videos, relevant ads for people who are watching your videos. And I'm not exactly sure how it works. I believe you get paid every time they click on an ad, or it's based on views. I'm not really sure, and I don't think any of us really have to be concerned with that. But based on what niche you're in, you're going to get paid, an average amount per 1,000 views. For me, it could range anywhere between a couple dollars up to $10 to $12 per 1,000 views that I get. It really depends. And certain advertisers are going to pay you more based on your content and the types of videos that you make. So it varies. But, Google AdSense is probably the least lucrative way to make money on YouTube.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some other ways.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different ways that you can make money. Obviously, the most common, like we just went through, was the Google AdSense, and that's easy to set up. You just literally click a button, and they'll start putting ads on your videos. Another way to make really good money with YouTube, once you create an audience and you have a bunch of people following you, and you know who they are, and you know that the problems that they're having, the challenges, and you could start to offer solutions to them through actual products that you create. So think of it this way. You can create maybe an ebook. My first product I created was an ebook called 101 Killer Clothing Brands. Book didn't take too long for me. It was just a PDF to create. I made a whole book about 101 of my favorite clothing items to buy and sell. And people who were following me on my channel were following me primarily at that time because they wanted to learn about how to sell clothing on eBay, and that's what all my content was about. Mm-hmm. So when I came out with an ebook, of course people wanted to buy it because it was a custom tailored audience who was there. And, I didn't start it to make money, but there was this whole audience who wanted to learn about clothing. And I actually sold that ebook, I think it was in 2015. And till this date, I've done, I think, over $20,000 or $30,000 just on that ebook. That only made me, took me a couple weeks to create. So that's one way right there. You can create a product, whether it's an ebook or a membership site or a video course or a mastermind or a coaching. That's products, right? So number one was Google AdSense. Number two is products. The third way that you can make money on YouTube, and we've actually done this together, Greg. It's a fine example. When you were launching your product, I actually helped you to promote that video, and we created content together. Right. And I was able to share your content with my audience, which is obviously high value, and you're in the business of selling books, and you've got a proven track record. I took your content and I promoted it to my audience, and that's called affiliate marketing. So the cool thing is once you build up an audience, you could start to promote other people's products that you like and love and enjoy and know that they're, really good products. You could promote them to your audience. You can actually get paid a commission based on the sales that you help to promote. And, we don't have to dive into how that all works, but pretty much you share a link and the link gets cookied to a customer and whatnot. But that's another way right there to make money. There's sponsorships, there's paid placement ads, which is, someone will pay you, hey, I'll give you $200 to create a review video of something, which actually just happened to me this morning. I opened up an email. Someone said, would you review my FBA company? They take pictures of products and create labels for private label products. And they said, would you do it? I'll give you $125. So that's another idea. So those are some of the ways to make money on YouTube.
Or like Tostitos presents Raiken Profits with Steve Raiken.
But I tell you, you guys have to be very careful. You've got to be very careful because one, you don't want to start promoting Tostitos or Doritos or whatever to an audience based around reselling because it's not going to convert.
Right.
And number two, you don't want to fall into the trap of just promoting because if you promote a bad product to your audience and they buy it, they're going to say, screw Steve, screw Greg. I'm never going to watch this channel again or buy anything that they promote because it wasn't good. So you have to be careful to only promote things to your channel that are actually of high value. And I think that comes back to ethics.
Well, what do you have?
Morals.
What do you have against Tostitos? I think it's an amazing brand.
Well, I'll tell you right now, man, Tostitos, too much salt. I'm bloated after. I can't work. No.
So, but let's get back to YouTube. Let's talk about, we talked about all the different ways you could monetize. Affiliates are way even easier than building your own product. If you have an audience that's interested in, in, selling on eBay or whatever, and you make a relationship with someone that has products that you believe in, that you've tried, it's going to benefit your audience and going to benefit you at the same time to do that. And that's much easier than building something yourself.
Yeah, I agree. If I could go back in time, there was a time where I'd created my own course about Kindle publishing, and I don't offer it any longer for reasons we don't have to talk about. But I had created this course and I spent all this time on it, and I never really made much money from it. And if I would have just promoted, there was this other guy's course who was really, really good. He spent a lot of time on it. I think I would have made that much more money and also been able to spend my time doing other things that really matter. So I could definitely relate to that. And if I could go back in time, there's definitely a few, at least one time where I wish I would have actually just gone the affiliate route instead of creating my own course, because it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work it is to create a product of your own and then actually to get it to sell, which is where the work comes in.
And that's why partnerships are so important. Because, Brian and he is much better at creating content than I am. And I think that I'm much better at marketing than he is. And so that was a great partnership for us. And there's a lot of teams that you see that have, half of it is the marketing side and creating the free content side, and the other guy's busy building the paid content.
So keep going.
Oh, and so it's just building those kind of partnerships is really important in a business like yours.
Yeah. So I run a membership group called The Green Room, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And we've got about over 850 members now. We've been running it for about 3 years. It's based around, teaching people about eBay and Amazon and reselling and all that stuff. And I actually have 2 other members as well. And I tell you, it takes a lot of the stress off. And like you said, like in our example, we have a guy in there who's one of the partners. His name's Eric. He's super smart and techie. He knows all the back end administrative stuff, all the systems and processes. And for me, that's not a strong suit. For me, I'm best in front of the camera, creating content, marketing, kind of putting all the pieces together in a sense. So having a team is huge. I can't say enough about having a team. It's game changing.
Well, the more of your time that you can spend on what you're really good at, the better your business is going to be overall.
Yep.
Definitely. And I found that out the hard way. Because I keep having difficulty with the tech part. And we don't have great luck with the team members that we've had on in the past that dealt with the tech. But it's so important to have that not be something that I have to spend my day-to-day focusing on. All right, so Steve, let's talk about, I have a friend named Sherry. She has a local photography studio, and I've been trying to get her, because she is actually the kid whisperer, okay? She's super good with kids, and we're trying to get her to develop a digital product so that she doesn't have to make all of her money from taking pictures. She can teach other people how she handles kids. And so first off, do you think that'd be something that people would want to buy?
There's got to be a need for it. I know that, it's a big challenge out there, and I'm sure that there's people who are dealing with that. So, you'd be amazed at the things that people are dealing with in terms of problems. So, she'd be able to gauge that best, but, I'm sure there is a need out there to some extent.
Now, do you have any kids?
I don't.
Okay. Well, if you did, you would know that it can be a pain in the tail. Sydney's almost 4 years old, and for some reason, she closes one of her eyes and tilts her head 45 degrees whenever we tell her to smile. So it can be useful. But in general, though, what we're trying to get for her is to say, look, by having YouTube videos, what we think we can do is to say, you can make these videos to the public at large, but we can also advertise locally to people that are signing in from Dayton, Ohio, from Huber Heights, where she lives. And we can make free content about, free tips on how to get your kid to take better pictures, and then promote a course that she can make, or an ebook or something like that.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, when you create content, you're attracting like-minded people. A lot of people, they make the mistake of they create a product, a course, a membership site, and then they don't have anybody promote it to. So the thing with YouTube and Facebook and really anything out there, Snapchat, Instagram, they're all attraction platforms. You put out content and you're going to attract a certain type of person to you. So by her being able to create that YouTube channel and creating that, those videos around, photography and how to help kids to take better pictures for their and their family portraits and whatnot, you're going to attract a certain type of person. So, that's the key right there. It's the attraction method. That's really all YouTube is in content creation.
So, if someone's starting a YouTube channel, what kind of tips do you give them for just in general for making videos? I know your videos are edited to where they're really fast paced. It reminds me a lot of, I can't remember the name of the guy. Dang it. What's the name of the guy? It doesn't matter. The fast cuts, how you cut real quick to make sure there's no dead space.
Sure, jump cuts. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's really good. But in terms of just a YouTube channel in general, someone starting out, what kind of tips do you have for them?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you're going to have to get yourself a decent camera. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but you're going to have to get yourself a camera, maybe something that's, $80-90. Get yourself a nice little area to record in, something that's clean, distraction free. Audio is really, really important when you start making videos, even more than like your camera. If you have good lighting, typically your camera will look decent, but having good audio is really important. So, I mean, once you get your basic setup, I mean, one of the biggest keys is to be consistent with your videos. You don't have to try to be perfect. You don't have to edit your videos amazing, but you need to be consistent with your videos, because essentially what you're doing when you're putting these videos out is you're attracting people in, and then what you're trying to do is build the relationship with them, right? For whatever reason it is that you're doing the videos, whether it's for, a business or to promote something or just to be able to help people and make a difference. It's all relationship building when you're doing this content creation. So you have to be consistent with your videos. I mean, imagine going out on a date with somebody and it's the first time you're on the date with them, and then you just go in for the kiss immediately. Like, you're going to get rejected 9 out of 10 times. And the same thing is with YouTube. If you just make one video and then boom, you go in for the kill, here, buy my product. Where's the relationship? Where's the rapport? Where's the connection? Where's the trust? So consistency is key right there. Also, you got to know who you're making the videos for. A lot of times you see people, they start making videos on YouTube and they've got one video about cooking and they're just started, one video about eBay, one video about internet marketing. And it's like, who are you talking to? You've got to figure out who you want to attract, the specific type of person you want to attract. And then, I mean, from there on out, I mean, there's a lot of different tips that we can go into in terms of, creating good titles and keywords and descriptions and stuff like that. But I'd say the big thing is once you get, a little setup, a little camera, good audio, just to be consistent with your videos, And over time, people are going to start leaving comments. They're going to start interacting with your videos, and you're going to get an idea of what they want more of, what they want less of, what they're enjoying. And, when your ear's down to the pavement, you could start making more content that serves your audience. That's really the key right there. You're a servant. You're there to help and make a difference. You're there to add value. Gary Vaynerchuk, who's someone I really look up to, he's got a book that's called, I believe it's Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Yeah, jab, 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 right hook. Yep.
The concept of creating videos is like jabs. You're adding value. You're jabbing, you're giving value. And eventually, once you give enough value, you can go in for the right hook, whatever that is for you, promoting a course, a product, an affiliate relationship. So those are some really good tips that I'd highly recommend when someone gets started on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And that does say a lot, even for me. That's very helpful, because I know I've really treated YouTube as kind of a like an afterthought. Like when we post on YouTube, it's just, I'll just throw this on YouTube too. A lot of my social media stuff is Facebook, obviously. But we want to make a concerted effort on YouTube. We've seen it have dramatic effects in the past, and we want to be heavy into YouTube. The problem, we took a lot of our videos off of YouTube because I didn't feel that they were on brand anymore.
I could definitely understand that. You want to make sure that your videos are on brand and that they have a purpose and that they're actually adding value. One mistake I see people making is, they're constantly trying to put like recycled content on their YouTube. Like they're putting all their Periscopes and Snapchats on there, and it's fine. Once in a while, I do it every now and then, but you want to make content for YouTube. Like people come to YouTube because they want a nice, clean, clear, crisp picture, a good experience. They want the interaction. So just know the platform that you're on.
I'm definitely on board with that, with making sure that the stuff that we put on YouTube is concise, quick, all of it's useful. None of it is just, filler. We have started uploading our podcast onto YouTube. Just that, what do you think about that?
I've seen people do it before. I don't really see a ton of success with it, because again, you're putting something that belongs on another platform on YouTube. So I've seen people do it before. I never really see a ton of engagement. I mean, I guess it can't hurt, and I would kind of gauge your results right there. But most common, I see people putting their podcasts on their blogs and whatnot. Seems like a better place to put it.
Okay, so with our podcast, my thought process was that there's people that were really iTunes heavy, and not everybody has iTunes, and there's a way to get podcasts on different applications, but some people asked for it, and I said, well, it doesn't really cost anything to throw these videos up there automatically.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess that was, but again, you're right. In terms of engagement, it does not get the kind of engagement that the regular videos do. That is certainly the case.
I mean, a better thing, in my opinion, would to have like maybe when you do your podcast, have a camera on and be streaming it live on YouTube, because then there's that engagement right there. They get to see you behind the scenes, and it's kind of like a neat little special experience where they get to kind of see it like firsthand beforehand and like see your mistakes and stuff like that. That's probably a different route I would take. But again, it doesn't hurt. Try it out. The cool thing about YouTube is you can make mistakes and then just get rid of your mistakes. Like try putting your videos on there and see what happens. Nice and edited and clean, and then do some live videos and see, the difference in engagement, see how many views you get, likes, dislikes, comments. So it's just one big experiment. One thing that works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So
yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I've thought about that before, like not YouTube specifically, because that seems more of a challenge for me in terms of technically doing a live stream through Google and Facebook and all that. But like Facebook Live, I've thought about that. Of doing a live stream into one of the Facebook groups while we're recording a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to 10x pretty much my views, my revenue, and my reach by doing live streams on YouTube versus just the old way. One big thing that YouTube's weighing on heavily nowadays is watch time. So I actually increased my watch time from, I believe it was around 3 minutes to over an average watch time of 9 or 10 minutes. So I literally tripled my watch time, and my channel's been growing rapidly ever since. Subscribers has increased probably 3 times over. I'm growing at about 3,000 subscribers every month, and it used to be around like 600 to 700 views have gone up. I mean, it literally looks like a penny stock that exploded if you were to take a look at my analytics. And the one thing that I did differently was doing the live streams more constantly and picking out really good guests to interview. The interaction is huge on YouTube.
That's amazing. We had that for when we did that 3-part video series. You had, I think, both Brian and I. Did he do a live one as well?
Yep, he did.
Okay, that was cool. Yeah, I thought it was good. The interaction with the audience was good too. But it's amazing. 40,000 subscribers. That's just insane. What would you say?
Thank you.
What would you say that they're? I mean, what percentage of them? Because I mean, obviously, you do videos on different topics. So you'll do
Sure.
videos on different topics. So, what percentage of them engage in the different types of things that you do? I mean, it's probably a broader audience now than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, my audience resonates mostly with reselling content. So if it has to do with eBay or Amazon, and even a little off to like entrepreneurship in general, they really connect with that. So anytime I talk about clothing or selling books is very, very popular on my channel. People love those types of content. But typically my videos get at least a couple thousand views on each video, which is pretty normal. When you start having, growing your YouTube channel and you get 1,000, 2,000 subscribers, not everyone's going to watch your videos. And one of the problems with YouTube is people are subscribed to so many people that when they go in their feed to watch videos, it's just like overloaded. And sometimes your video gets hidden. Sometimes they lose interest in the content. There's a lot of different reasons. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a small percentage of people who watch your videos, and then people will catch the replays and whatnot. But, if you do really good keywords and you make content that's like timeless and like really helps people and makes a difference, you're going to get not only actually most of my views come from people who aren't even subscribed to me. Like well over 50% of my views and subscribers, people that like the videos, they aren't even subscribed to me because YouTube actually promotes you so much, which is cool. It's so much organic traffic that you can get from YouTube. It's very powerful.
So let's talk about your new book, E-commerce on Fire, the free book that you have on your website.
Sure.
So how can people go there to get access, give their email address to get access to that? So what is it that's all about?
Yeah, so that's a book that I wrote. It's a free book. I never charge for it. It is going to take an email opt-in. So if you go to RaikenProfit.com, you can put your email in and get it. But it's a book that's about 97 just strategies that I've learned over time that have helped me in e-commerce, mostly in eBay and Amazon and Craigslist. One example might be running sales on eBay, right? Or taking really good pictures, or being consistent and creating a listing schedule. So I just go through about 97 little tips and strategies that have helped me, and that's important, especially for a beginner, because a lot of times someone gets started in eBay or Amazon or selling books. It's overwhelming. There's so many things to know. There's so many mistakes that you're going to make, and I wanted to make a book that a beginner or intermediate could read. It's a quick read that could save them from a lot of, common mistakes and hassles that I had to deal with when I first got started.
Yeah, I'm looking at the book right now, and one of the things you say, number 15, is don't be afraid to negotiate.
Yep.
That's something that is a very big deal, where a lot of people take the first, the first thing that people, the first price that someone offers as the last price, and that's never the case, ever.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're garage selling, don't just accept the first price. Always ask for a better price. Always bundle items together. Don't be scared to negotiate. It's not going to be the end of the world. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They might say no, or, I'm not really sure. Always ask for a better price. Always negotiate. You'd be surprised at how many people are willing to take less. And, that's just added money in your pocket to pay for expenses and cost of goods and supplies and paying for employees. I mean, whenever you could save a buck, it's always a good thing in business, because there's going to be ups and downs all the time.
And that's the case in all, we talk about in books, is that oftentimes when you're dealing with people that are selling books, they're not the ones that are getting the money. The people that are dickering with you are not the ones that are going to be getting the money. They work for the owners of the books. If it's, thrift store or or a library or something like that. So for a lot of these guys, actually the space is more important to them than the revenue. So if you're saying, hey, we'll take all these books, a lot of times that's even more important than the price that you're willing to pay, just so they can have their space to do whatever else they do.
Oh, yeah.
So money is not the only kind of compensation, I guess is the point.
Yep. Everybody has a different reason to why they're selling something. I mean, if you ever learn that somebody's maybe moving, they're having a garage sale or whatever it is, maybe they're selling stuff on Craigslist, and you find out that they're moving, ask them, hey, where are you moving to? Oh, you're moving to Texas? Oh, that's cool. I have a friend in Texas. Well, how long until you move? Oh, I'm moving in a week. Well, now you know that they only have a week to get rid of all this stuff. And then you can maybe say, well, hey, if you don't get rid of all this stuff, what are you going to do with it all? And you'll find out, well, I don't know. I might have to donate it and bring it all to the store. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, and then you could go all right, well, I totally understand. Well, let me see if I can help you out and get some of this stuff off your hands for you. Ask them questions to figure out what's going on, because if you find out that somebody's motivated to sell, right then and there, they're going to be willing to negotiate more. So kind of feel them out.
And that goes into the next one that you have here about building relationships.
Yep.
And that's super. I mean, we talk about this all the time on the podcast, but relationship building is the absolute number one thing that makes our business more successful than it ever has been before. Because I was just like almost everybody else when I first started. You have the scanner. Back then it was the PDA. 5 years ago it was the PDA, and I still think, by the way, that the PDA is still good, but whatever. So, but 5 years ago it was all the PDA, and everybody would sit and not talk to each other and just scan books in their own little corner. And we would say, hey, instead, hey, library sale guys, why don't you just, instead of dealing with all these guys, why don't we figure out ways to make more money for the library and more money for us just by talking to the people that are running the sale?
Yep.
And so that's building those kind of relationships from the very beginning is what made our business different than a lot of other booksellers.
Yeah, that same principle not only applies to reselling and eBay and building relationships at pawn shops, thrift stores, garage sales, but YouTube as well. I know we're kind of bouncing back and forth between YouTube and reselling, but I tell you, one of the biggest things that allowed me to grow my channel in this reselling niche over a lot of other people is my willingness to reach out and network and create partnerships that were win-wins for both people, adding value. I mean, if you have a YouTube channel, build relationships with other content creators, do some collaborations, add value, think outside the box. I mean, just like you said, Greg, I mean, relationship building was the number one thing for your business. The same for me in pretty much all aspects of my life, even my health. I mean, building that relationship with my buddy Chris allowed me to be able to get on a level where he could coach me. I mean, it's crazy. Relationships are one of the keys to life and success.
Yeah, you're never going to get anywhere if you're by yourself. You're going to be reinventing the wheel in every aspect of your business. Where there is, even though people don't think about it, there is the right way to do a lot of things. And there's there's been people that have been doing this for a long time. And even me, people ask me questions all the time. And other than my family, my daughter, I love talking about my business. I feel like it feels like another kid to me, something that I brought into the world, right? So I love to talk about my business. And when people have questions or that want to engage me with, what we built and how we built it, I'm happy to talk about it. And I think that a lot of people are.
I agree.
So, Steve, let's talk about pawn shops, because I have one experience, I think, where I sold 1,000 CDs or DVDs or something to a pawn shop for 20 cents a piece. And that was my only experience, and it creeped me out. I think it was not in the best part of town, but in general, I don't do a lot with pawn shops. I think it's cool because I think that if I was still doing things, if I was in the field every day, then buy the books and have them come to me. I think pawn shops would be a great strategy. So I know that one of the things you talk about here in the book, on your website, the e-commerce on fire, is to bring cash. I'm sure obviously cash is king, but why is that so important when you're talking about pawn shops?
Well, I think number one, I think a lot of these pawn shops probably put it under the table, to be honest with you. But I don't know the exact reasons to why cash is super important. All I know is cash works wonders for sure. So if you want to get a better deal, always offer cash. And, in addition, you're not going to have to pay. Typically, they're not going to charge you with tax, and sometimes they'll even hit you with, like, if you use a credit card, different percentages for processing it and whatnot. So cash is definitely a big thing. But, a lot of people, they don't think of pawn shops as a way to be able to source inventory. And, pawn shops is just a tool, right? It's just one of the tools that I use alongside with garage sales and thrift stores and Craigslist and all the different ways that I source. Pawn shops is, a resource. It's a place you can go to buy stuff and get good deals. Some of the most common items that I buy from pawn shops are video games, electronics, books, DVDs, calculators. I've bought clothing at pawn shops, and a lot of times, these pawn shops are making money on their loans, right? They're loaning out the money, and they're making money. They're making money. They're making the interest, and that's kind of where they get the biggest piece of their pie. And a lot of times, they're willing to get rid of products at a discount, especially if you bundle up and buy a bunch of stuff, just because they want to get their cash back.
And they want that space, just like everybody else. They want to be able to put something there that they haven't been staring at that for 6 months. You know what I mean? They want to get it out of there.
And if you live in like an area, like for example, there's certain parts and certain pawn shops that I go to who they just undervalue things like significantly, like even a lot less than eBay. And as you know, with Amazon, you can get prices that are kind of ridiculously high compared to other markets, especially compared to a local market or eBay on Amazon FBA. And, there's times where, right before the school season, I'm picking up TI-83 calculators, TI-84s, 89 titaniums for, 25, 30 bucks and, selling them on Amazon for 70, 80, 90 bucks. Now, not the 83s, those go for less. But there's definitely, arbitrage. There's a difference in the market there. And, they want to get rid of the stuff. They want to clear the space. If you're bundling up, you're bringing cash, you can get deals there. This was probably like 6 months ago. I went to a pawn shop in my local town, and they had one of those, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like something for a DVD where like it puts like a label on it, and it was like a real nice professional one. I paid $30. They were asking $100 for this item, and it was only there for like a week. But I had built a relationship with a guy there. I've been going there for years, and he knew me. We're buddies, and it was for sale for $100. And I said, "Listen, man, like, what's the best you'd be willing to do for this? I'm getting all these video games. I'm buying a couple calculators. What would you do on this item?" And he goes, "I'll give it to you for $30." I'm like, "All right, deal." It was brand new in the package. I put that thing on Amazon FBA, and that thing was sold for $299 within like 3 weeks. And that's just one just one example. It doesn't happen all the time like that. Most of the time you're buying things for, video games for $5 and selling it for $15. But there's money to be made there. It's just like anything else though. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss, sometimes you score, sometimes you go to 5 in a row and you don't find anything. So it's just another resource.
See, the reason that retail arbitrage never worked for me, which is, you go to the store and you buy cases of whatever flavor Oreos for whatever and sell them online for whatever. I'm not interested in shopping, but I think that pawn shops might be fun. Because the same reason like use bookstores, because you can go there and you can negotiate. So I think if everything was starting over, I would be much more likely to go to pawn shops than I would be to go to Walmart. I guess.
Definitely, yeah. And, there's a lot less competition at these pawn shops as well because, one, most people are scared to go into them because they're intimidating. You're dealing with kind of like hardcore guys who are like, they're kind of like car salesmen on steroids. Like they're just a lot of them are aggressive. So a lot of people kind of shy away from it because they're kind of intimidated.
So what is kind of the weirdest thing that's happened to you at a pawn shop? Or like, tell us about some funky, weird experiences you've had because these guys can't all be as nice as Rick from Pawn Stars.
I mean, I've definitely had some guys who like got really pissed off that I was in there like trying to resell stuff. I forget where I was. I might have been on like Philadelphia, but like there was this one guy there. He was just like super mean. He's like, "You're trying to resell my stuff. Who do you think you are?" Like blah 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 blah. Like it was like it's just ridiculous. I mean, you'll get that from time to time, but I've had times where cops come flying in and they're looking for somebody. Oh. I see that a lot, very often, cops coming in, but not just the normal ones. They're like detectives. So,
yeah, I remember they do that because I know from The Wire. So because I watched on The Wire, and remember Lester was in the pawn shop unit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how all my street rep comes from, is from watching The Wire. So
Yeah, pawn shops have certain rules in terms of like how long they have to like hold the products before they sell them, and they have to check in certain things and disclose certain information. But you know, that's one thing. A lot of people who steal items, they try to get rid of it there, but you know, they're tightening up the rules and whatnot in terms of accepting products, and they want a license, they want you to verify certain information. But yeah, once in a while you'll see the police coming in every now and then if you're in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. How does it work? I know here in Dayton, we have, I've never been to pawn shops to sell stuff, but I have been to like the used bookstores where they'll give you cash for books, and they'll take your license. So although I'm sure that there's not a lot of people that are robbing people's book libraries to get like 50 cents at whatever, half price books or wherever. But so I'm sure if they do it for that, then they'll do it if you're trying to sell a watch at a pawn shop.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get your ID. I think sometimes they even like fingerprint you or do something crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're there buying, so it's not as
I'm buying
as all that.
But they're gonna usually want a license if you're buying something as well.
Really?
So, yeah, it's a little, at times, not always, but it's a little high security there. So I think what I was saying before is a lot of people are intimidated to go. They're intimidated just because of it's kind of got a bad little name to it, and the workers there are a little intimidating. Things are usually more expensive. It takes cash. It takes negotiation. So I think it's a good opportunity for someone who's not scared of those things and is willing to put in a little effort and go outside their comfort zone, because there's not going to be a ton of competition.
Oh no, definitely not. No, definitely not. Well, thanks, Steve. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I definitely appreciate your time. And I think we dropped a lot of good insights for folks. Where can folks reach you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. So the best way to probably get some good content for me is over on my YouTube channel at Raiken Profit. Just look that up. I've got about 1,000 videos over there. Or you could check me out over at the Green Room, greenroomuniversity.com. That's the membership site that I run as well. And we've got some cool blog posts over there and some free content for you guys to check out as well. But yeah, those are where you could find me. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a lot of fun chit-chatting with you. And, it was definitely a good time. So thank you.
Hey, no problem. Thank you very much. So we definitely did talk about a lot of topics today with Steve. He's a great guy. It's hard to stay on message with him. I was really interested in what he had to say about pawn shops. I mean, that would be something that I'd be into if I had to start my business over, talking to those guys. I bet they have some really unique stories to tell. You can find out more about Steve. You can check out his YouTube channel at Raiken Profit. You can also find his website, RaikenProfit.com. You can also obviously learn more about us at BustProofBusiness.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, the best way to show your support for the podcast is to leave us a review on iTunes. We definitely appreciate that. Remember, make today count.
That's all for this episode of the Bust Proof Business Podcast. Be sure to point your browser to bustproofworkshop.com to sign up for our mailing list and to get your opportunity to enroll in one of our specialized seminars, guaranteeing you continued results in typical bust-proof fashion. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to taking your business to the next level right here on the Bust Proof Business Podcast.